Hi, I'm Brandon. I, once again, love The Way Home.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and I also, once again, love The Way Home, but my gimmick's to say I like it, so I really like it.
I'm Dan, and we'll see what we think about The Way Home. And this is the
Deck the Hallmark Podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast. Brandon and friends host his podcast. We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, boy, oh, boy.
Great to be here
It's
today.
a tradition now. It's a tradition. It's Ryan Pappolla and The Way Home. It's 2 seasons now. Here we are.
There's nothing we can do about it.
Lock it in.
I'm excited. I woke up today with a little extra spring in my step.
If you didn't think we're excited, you didn't listen to that preview episode last week. That was gold. It was.
The quality on that thing was great. Both sound.
We did have. You're gonna love this, right? We had some folks reach out and ask where they could find that song.
Yeah. So it's Dive, Stephen
And
Curtis
I've got
Chapman.
some news for you. It is Dive by Stephen Curtis Chapman, one of America's
SC
greatest
squared.
entertainers.
Yes.
I say that in all sincerity. I mean, I love the Stephen Curtis.
Yeah, and I mean, at the very least, it's a great adventure, and
That's right.
you know, we're having a good time. But
He's the Lord of the Dance.
He's gonna tour with AJ McLean and Joey Fatone.
How dare you?
I-
He would. How dare you? First of all,
I'm sorry.
he's a headliner.
yeah, absolutely.
Stephen Curtis Chapman is a headliner. That's exactly
Yes,
right.
Wow. We're talking about The Way Home, which is come back into our lives.
That's right. Yeah, I will say this.
In a different manner than Ride. Ride has also come back into our lives because CW picked it
It's
up.
on the
but
CW, and it's just reruns.
It's just reruns, but we'll watch again.
I got to be honest. They did a little recap before the season started, and
I know we did. I think we did a pretty
nailed it.
good job.
I think we nailed it.
I'd say we hit the highlights and several things that they didn't deem important.
Exactly.
Like,
Our preview show is better than their recap, and that I didn't think I was going to be able to say at this point 3 days ago.
I can't wait to have the creators on at the end of the season. Let's start with the obvious. Our recap.
Yeah. I don't want to embarrass anyone.
Well,
but,
and I do want to talk about the writers that
we
listen.
did 10
listen.
minutes of decom talk, and our preview show was still better.
I do want to talk to the writers that listen and can't have come on the show. Like, you're welcome to use our recap anytime. Like
Anytime you want.
Like, if you want to use that, you're welcome to it.
Sometimes
Like,
Brand stops writing midway,
Yeah.
and he just wings it. So,
not
I
for
mean,
The Way Home. The Way
No.
Home, I really
Yeah.
focus on.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
the movies at this point that you
Yeah.
can kind of skate on by.
We had to watch this and Betty's Bad Luck and Love, and there was a discussion over what we would watch first. And I was like, if we watch The Way Home first, this movie doesn't have a chance.
Qualitatively.
Yeah, you gotta go ahead and get that movie out of the way before you dive into The Way Home. No pun intended. Dive in.
Can't believe someone thinks that guy isn't going to be the headliner.
Yeah, like he would be with AJ McLean.
I didn't say who would headline. I just said they were going to.
Definitely headlining.
The man.
Maybe PFR is going with Fatone and
PFR.
Pray for Rain. You remember
Oh,
them?
wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
See? That's the quality of the Fatone McLean combo. There's going to be some
offensive.
PFR fans that reach out. I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
There is not.
Yeah, there will be.
There will.
Let's talk about The Way Home,
Okay.
Season 2, Episode 1.
Sure.
The name of it, The Space Between.
The space between
Dave?
your fickle lies
Yeah.
you tell and hope to keep
Yeah.
safe from the pain.
Beautiful. Originally aired on January 21st, 2024, and it went a little something like this.
I thought that was the new thing you were going to do. Oh, man.
We just got the ride music in. We're just a season late. That was for Ride.
Go get the horse head.
you
Go
just
get the
got
horse
a
head.
little
Yeah.
We see Jacob We see Jacob.
People now think we are a morning zoo radio show now. There's nothing we can do about
Gosh,
it.
I wish.
Ding, 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 ding.
We see Jacob and this weird woman standing at the edge of the pond, and she's like, "You gotta stay here for now." Cut to Kat talking to Dell, and she's like, "I know what happened to Jacob." And Dell's like, "I don't want to hear it." So Kat runs to the pond, jumps in. The pond does not take her. Alice then jumps in after her mom and gets stuck under the ice. Kat pops out, sees that Alice isn't here, must be under the water. She goes back in and rescues her, brings her back on shore, and is able to bring her back
Wake me up.
That's exactly right. Evanescence her. And they make a pact.
Wake up.
They make a pact. Save me! They make a pact to not go back to the pond again.
In the pond.
Yes.
Yes.
They can look at it.
Yeah.
We just can't get in it.
They can't touch.
She then finds a goodbye note from Elliot. The dude deuced out. See you guys. Fast forward 7 months. Everybody's happy. Dell is doing beekeeper stuff, Jason Statham style, and she sees a horse.
Did you say horse?
Yes. Rick, how are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great.
You
Wouldn't
excited?
miss an episode of The Way Home.
You love The Way Home.
Love The Way Home.
What's the thing you're most excited about for season 2?
Oh, it's definitely Andy McDowell getting nearly nude.
Thought it might be. Alice has found.
That did not happen this week, and that was a bit
We'll
of a
get to it. We'll
disappointment.
get to it. We
9
have.
to go.
We
9
had our
9 more
cigars
kids.
ready down at Fitzy's, and nada.
Yeah. You got. Spoiler alert. We have a new segment. It's called Nearly Nude.
Excuse me, spoiler alert.
It's coming up at the end.
Yeah. Is that taking place of Sink or Swim?
Yes.
Sink or Swim was terrible.
Nobody told me.
No, we were just sad. Alice has found good friends at
This
school.
show sinks.
Thank you. And Alice has found some good friends at school, and Kat is running the newspaper. It's the last day of school, and after school, they have dinner. They dance to Steal My Sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
Alice is about to leave for summer vacation to spend time with her dad. Kat is going through one by one a list of names and trying to track down where they ended up. And she thinks that this is the best way to find out what happened to Jacob. Not going to pond anymore. I'm going to do it this way. Kat goes to an estate of the town's wealthiest family who just recently passed away and left in their will that this can go to the archive, the town archive. And so she shows up and she comes across a painting that looks exactly like her and is titled My Catherine, 1814. That's My Catherine. My Catherine.
Ooh, she's got a painting now. Painting now. Ooh, she's going back in time. That was your cue for my cue.
My Catherine. The next day,
Why do people not want to come on the show?
The next day, Kat runs by Elliot's house, and wouldn't you know it, he's back. They awkwardly talk, and she invites him to a family party that they're having to celebrate summer. Alice is not happy to see Elliot because she feels like he abandoned them. They have a fun party complete with fireworks and flashbacks to a simpler time before death. Alice goes to a party with friends, and Kat goes to a treehouse to listen to Sister Hazel. Elliot shows up. Sister Hazel's still playing in the background. He apologizes for leaving without saying goodbye. They sit down on the treehouse bed, and they make out hard while Sister Hazel continues to play in the background. Once again, there's nothing you can do. Sister Hazel's playing.
Yeah.
What do you want to happen? But she does pull away. She says, can't do this. Alice keeps seeing her 1999 friends while hanging out with her present day friends. It's freaking her out, so she leaves. Kat and Dell talk about working on their relationship. They're really going to give this a shot. We then see the family all together in 1999 around a bonfire, and someone who looks like maybe Colton looking at them from the woods.
Maybe even
Not
Colton looking at Colton.
100% sure. The next day, Kat and Alice are talking about, how Alice was seeing her friends, and it's like, I kind of forget what they look like. And she says that she misses 1999 and wants to jump again. Kat shows Alice the painting, and Alice is like, oh, this is amazing. This painting is how you're going to find Jacob. They agree to do one last jump.
One last jump in the pond with me. One last jump.
Elliot sees them walking towards the pond and deletes a sexy text that he was typing up. Dell finds out that her neighbor sold his farm and is saying, hey, maybe you should consider doing the same with yours. She says, I will never sell my farm. As she sees the dog heading into the woods. Dell finds out, oh, no, never mind. They jump into the pond and they hold hands, but the pond separates them. Alice pops out and she's back in 1999, but Kat pops out and we're not really sure where she is, but she immediately gets shot by an old-timey gun and falls back into the water face first. And that, my friends, was The Way Home, Season 2, Episode 1, The Space Between.
We did it.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll break this episode down here on Deck the Hallmark.
I thought you were going to say 4 segments.
Sorry.
If you're watching on philo.tv/DTH, you see me flash 4 fingers in front of the screen like Brand's about to say, with 4 segments right here, and he doesn't say it. And I'm just like, whoo! I'm just like full Ric Flair out here. We did it.
Wow.
Here we go.
Woo!
That's right. Yep.
Go, Ryan. Go. Give me that Ric Flair.
Woo!
All right. That's not great.
Underwhelming.
Yeah.
You sure
You guys already did
you're
it.
you're the guy from the bump, right?
Yeah. So live on Twitch.
Listen, right now, my focus is entirely The Way.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Let's talk about The Way Home, the season premiere, or as I said on Tuesday, the series finale. I made a mistake.
He did.
I know. Let's break this movie down, or episode down. Let's start with the hot take. Ryan, we're back. We're back in Canada. We're back at the pond. Thoughts on this season premiere?
Limousine riding, pond diving. Listen, so I thought that was pretty good.
I had water in my mouth. I was trying not to spit everywhere. Nicely done.
Thanks, Dan. That was off the top of the dome. Alice got trapped under ice in the first 5 minutes, a literal cold open, and I thought that really set the tone in a nice way. I thought the show did a good job of reminding us what made the first season so great. Pond drama, not trying to be funny, like a lot of intrigue around the pond, good mythology building, still a massive focus on the archives. Elliot showing up out of the blue, I thought was odd at first. I still thought that scene in and of itself was a little jarring, but I liked that by the end. Whether or not us bozos are right about our theory that, that central theme was
Someone in the chat says Elliot shot cats.
Oh man. Let's hold it. Let's save it to the nearly nude segment, everybody.
I thought them kissing at the end of the episode was a nice change of pace for the show, for Hallmark. Like, let's just dive in, no pun intended. On a broad strokes level, here's my big thing, like all jokes aside. What I always worry about with any season 2 after...
Sorry. Continue.
Oh man, now that this show exists and we've found that button, that's it. That is it. Anytime anyone says diving in.
Do the recap again. On a broad strokes level, I always worry that a season 2 premiere or a season 2 at large is going to stray too far from what made season 1 great. I'll be very curious to hear what Dan has to say about this. I did not think that was the case here. I really enjoyed what they did. It felt still very connected to season 1. They didn't try to introduce too many new characters. The new mysteries they set up were intriguing, all of that stuff. And then you have 2, man, that's good TV moments at the end of this episode, whether it's Colton or Jacob from behind, and then literally someone being shot on the Hallmark Channel. I like this show a good deal, and I thought this was a good episode, Brent.
Listen.
This is where you come for the hottest, most takes with most integrity.
First of all, it's good to be back. It's good to be back at the pond. It's good to see my old friends. And it's just good to, live in the mystery again. The mystery of life, the mystery of love.
Amen.
And this episode freaking rocked for me. I immediately was like, yes. Because here's the thing. You may have picked up on this last week during the preview episode, but I don't really remember the first season.
What?
And so,
No.
but there's something about this world where the show started and I'm like, yes, I remember the feeling of watching this show. And to your point, Ryan, those moments where they're giving you just a little breadcrumb of mystery and you're just like, oh, they're setting some stuff up for this season. That feeling, you remember those feelings from season 1 and you're like, yes, this is right. We get an amazing kiss to Sister Hazel. Phenomenal kiss. Great to be back with Sister Hazel just setting the mood. And that as they should, as only Sister can.
As only Sister Hazel can.
Yeah, I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy to be back. And I thought that this just felt perfect. It felt good, and I am suddenly reminded of why I love this show so much. It's just I love the characters, I love the world, I love the mystery, and and I love the anticipation of Nearly Nude. So lots to love. Very excited, thrilled. So good to be back, Dano.
So just like Kat and Alice go different places when they go in the pond, I'll take 2 hot takes if I can. One, this remains by far and away the best thing Hallmark has ever done. The fact that we have a serialized television program that we're looking forward to figuring out clues to a mystery and care about the characters. Well done, Hallmark. Now that that's out of the way, I was a bit underwhelmed. I was, and I didn't want to be, and I was sad that I was underwhelmed.
Sure about that, though?
I'm very sure about that.
You didn't want to be.
I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be. Why would I want to be? I don't want to be underwhelmed.
I don't want to be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately.
That's exactly right. And I feel like the show ended so well last year and left us with some questions about characters and how they're going to react. And I think they kind of squandered that in the opening. I feel like Kat having to reckon with her continual meddling in the past, resulting in the death of her father. I thought that's a really great string that we should be seeing in season 2. And instead, what we saw is we're not going to go in the pond anymore. Pinky promise. 7 months later, and Kat is great. And I hated that. I hated that we don't get a chance to see her reckon with the fact that ultimately she caused her father's death. I hate that. I don't think I think that the show took an easy way out. I also think hinting at the fact that Colton is still alive is awful. You're gonna, if people that are dead don't stay dead, you lose the basic and integral structure of any television show. And ask any good show that goes terrible, The Flash, blah blah blah. Like if someone's dead and you see them dead,
but hold on,
you don't know. It's Colton.
We don't know. It might not be Colton. It might not be Colton.
But also in that he's not dead.
Who and what?
That hadn't happened yet. He hadn't died yet.
Colton.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you mean he's traveling forward in time?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. All I'm saying is
because we don't know that all we know is people can travel backwards in time.
Sure.
So it would be weird for him to travel backward. The pond needed him to see himself. That would be weird. But whatever the case may be, I think that was a little bit disconcerting. More than willing to admit I'm wrong on that one if it turns out it's not Colton or it makes sense. I just thought, and then the Elliot Cat storyline that I thought had so much heat and it made a lot of sense that he would leave. And I know that they still have this thing where they're not together and that makes it hotter. This kiss was great. The Sister Hazel kiss was amazing. But I also felt like that was resolved really quickly. Like I felt like him needing some time away and just getting 7 months and rolling back in, just rocking that pink shirt like he owns it, and then it being fine. I didn't like that. And so I just felt like there were some things I did like. Them splitting up at the end of the episode, amazing. The gunshot at the end, amazing. But then we have a whole nother thing of archives we get, which I also was like, what in the world? So a mixed bag for me. I'm not, look, it's still solid television, but this show ended with 4 episodes that were by and large great television for any network. And this was not the opener that I was hoping for. And so I'm not saying it can't be a better season. I'm not saying they don't have enough there to really make it work. I'm just saying that I was underwhelmed because the bar was set last season. And I think this had a feel of trying to figure it out and not a feel of like, I'm sorry, Ryan, but like last season had a feel of, we know where we're starting. We know where we're going. This doesn't feel like that right now, but I hope it gets there. Not for me anyway.
All I was going to say, and I'm sorry for interrupting, all I was going to say though, you would admit that you thought the last 8 minutes, which will parlay into next week and the rest of the run, was the strongest of the episode, right?
I think that what happens with Kat and Alice and their characters together and their motivations tends to be the strongest thing going right now, because instead of moving forward with this Jacob mystery, like where they leave you hanging, they basically come back and go in the first scene, don't worry about Jacob right now. We'll get to him later. Maybe that thing that Kat did to her father and killed him, maybe that is not for forever. And Kat and Elliot are going to pick up right where they left off. And those 3 things are things that I thought were really solid bedrocks of characters having to go through some stuff and really like search. Like, are you telling me they know Jacob's out there and they've just agreed to not go back in the pond? Are you kidding? Like, and we just accept that. Her and her mom look at each other and go, not doing it. And then they don't do it. And I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe for a second that those 2 characters who, to the credit of the writers of The Way Home, have written 2 great, strong, independent women who like take risks, take chances, don't let anybody tell them what to do. And all of a sudden they're just like, we know that Jacob's out there. We know he's out there. And we just, you know what? We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it anymore. We promised each other. And so they took away all of the things that I felt like I would much rather, I know this isn't good. Like I would much rather like, we have opened up on Kat in a really dark place. Like maybe she's just like Colton was. Like she's just drinking all the time. She's going in the pond every night, can't go anywhere. The pond won't let her. Elliot comes back and she hates him. Like that seems to be a lot more realistic to the character than what we got. But I will say this, it's still good television. It's still quality television. I just was underwhelmed by the pilot. So don't take it as anything more than that. I see some folks in the chat getting upset, but don't take it anything more than that. I think it still has the opportunity to be great. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dan hated
the episode. He hated the episode. It's time for all the feels. So we're talking about what gave us feels while we were watching this. Ryan.
Yeah, I know we've already talked a little bit about it in different ways, and maybe it just shouldn't surprise me anymore because season 1 established this with, quite frankly, bigger songs. And it's a 14-year-old song or roundabout, but like The Code by Paramore is on the Hallmark Channel, and I'm like looking around. I'm going, it still just doesn't compute to me. And the song's probably not as expensive as it was when it was a hit of a major motion picture. But I was like, it was used smartly, just a slapper of a tune. And I don't know, like The Way Home is cool, right? I think that's another reason why I'm so excited. I like everything that I review for this podcast. I have a great time. But like the show, 20-year-old Ryan Pappolla had iTunes on a loop, The Code by Paramore, and now it's in the show that I'm talking about with my buddies Bran and Dan. That's really cool.
Boy, yeah.
Bran, it's crazy. Like,
what's crazy?
The Way Home and then them playing Paramore, Bran was in. Like, I didn't know what to do with him. Like, it was unbelievable.
How did we get here? Literally, and it's a lyric. It's a thing. Bless you, Bran.
Did it attack you?
It scared me.
Yeah.
And bless you, Dan. Bless you.
Hey, bless you. Bless you, Ryan. Bless you, Bran.
Bless you, Dan. Literally.
What's happening?
His first ever use
Not
of the
true.
mute button.
I do it all the time.
Brandon Gray.
I mute it all the time.
We did it.
What's great though, Dan, is I was so far from the mic, and the mic hadn't. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't.
The ending of this episode just worked for me, and her getting shot, great. Who shot her? I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens, and it's just. You remember Ride and how hard it was?
Yeah.
Oh, good show.
Even
We've come through some
if
hard
you have
times
some
here.
problems, like this
Yeah.
was an easy watch,
yes.
an easy watch, and so
I'm just
thank
here.
God they were not struggling about what to do with hay and stuff.
No,
like
I'm giving an analysis. Like I
more
prefer this to anything we got from Ride on its best day. Absolutely.
Ride wishes.
Ride wishes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly right.
Dan, what gave you feels?
Guys, I'll recap because Ryan just talked about Paramore. We got Paramore, we got Sister Hazel All For You, and we got Lynn Steal My Sunshine. And all three original tracks. Like, how much money did Hallmark give The Way Home? We got all three original tracks, and then the title of the episode's a Dave Matthews song, and I thought we were going to get that at some point for some strange reason, because I was like, they are just blowing the budget on songs right now. It's impressive to hear that many tracks in a Hallmark movie. If a Hallmark movie got those three songs, I would be like, they had to increase the budget. But for a 42-minute episode of television to get those three songs, next level. I also feel like it was nice to, if you watch the pilot episode of this show and the premiere of this season, they bookend very nicely. So like, I don't know if it was, I'm sure it was on purpose, but the pilot starts with something from a different time period and then ends with them jumping in the pond, and then you don't know where they go. And then this episode starts with something from a different time period and ends with her getting shot in the pond, and you don't know what happens. It's a very, like, I don't know if they went, it was like a formula thing, and they were like, it worked in the first season, let's do the exact same thing this season. But I loved it. I loved that they were kind of showing you that they could still craft an episode. Now, what happened between those two scenes, but they're still doing this thing where they're setting up a bigger mystery while giving you something smaller to care about in the meantime.
Right. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with the Wait What? Sink or Swim.
Sink or Swim, of
and
course.
Nearly Nude.
Yeah.
Here on Deck the Hallmark. Welcome back. I'm about to sneeze again. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot going on. There's just a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Let's get to the Wait What. I'm going to start with you, Ryan. Ryan, anything in this episode made you go, wait, what?
Yeah, a few things. Now, this maybe shouldn't even count. I don't know. If I'm outside the parameters of the segment, just let me know. No one would have thought, and if anyone didn't watch the Coming Up that aired right after the episode ended, I apologize. Nobody would have thought.
I didn't watch it. We didn't watch it.
I have a real. This won't surprise. If you think I should omit this, just let me know. I won't say it. Nobody would have thought, including you two or anyone, that Kat was going to die at the beginning of next week's episode. However, I just have a fundamental issue with the 30-second preview that airs immediately after the episode ends. Kat's just walking around. You see her next week. Like, there should be leave Kat out of the 30-second preview that you air right after
Make people
the episode
think just
ends.
for a second that maybe.
Or a week. 7 days, and not that anyone would actually think that, but the moment was amazing. This is no bit, no hyperbole. I was like, wow, what an amazing way to end the episode. I didn't think Kat was going to die, but I saw her 10 seconds later because I couldn't find my remote to hit pause before the episode ended. I mean, so that's a miss by Hallmark. That's not on the show.
Yeah, I bet they did it on purpose to remind, because this is a big deal for Hallmark to have a serialized show like this where the questions aren't all answered, blah blah blah. But I also think that ruins a really great moment, because I think the beauty of that moment is you have enough mythology built up to where there's a series of mysteries just about. Like, who shot Kat? The pond takes you only where you need to go when you need to be there. The pond took you there to get shot immediately, so you would have to stay there probably for longer. Why do you have to stay longer? To become the White Witch? I don't know. There's enough in that one just scene to last us a season's worth of plot. And for them to give away that she's just up walking around, I'm disappointed too. I'm disappointed that happened. That's terrible.
It was a bummer. So, all right. So I guess that's a little inside baseball-ish, but off that, Kat saying she wasn't going to use the pond anymore is like me saying to Dan last night that I'm not going to bet much once football season ends.
One of my favorite parts of any weekend is getting the screenshots of the parlays that Ryan has gone with for the weekend. And he and I talk it through. And sometimes I'm a cheerleader and sometimes I'm a therapist. It just depends on how it goes. And it's fun. It's a bonding experience for the two of us before we start our Let's Pod a Parlay podcast coming to you soon.
Coming through real soon. And so it's been an up and down year. I can think of literally 15 dozen songs that would classify better as the ultimate summer song than the one they chose. It's not on my list at all, but neither here nor there. And last for me, Kat, you talked about it a little. Somebody mentioned the shirt that Elliot was wearing. Kat says Elliot has a whole new thing going when she first sees him in that weird scene. But as best I can tell, it's just that he was wearing a different type of shirt than we normally see him wear.
The whole new thing is
It'd be like
same.
if Dan wore blue. It'd be like, Dan, if you wore blue on an episode, it'd be like, oh, wow, you got a whole new thing going.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right. I'm trying to set the bar as low as possible and then wear colors and see what happens.
Yeah, that's true. It's a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Like, Bran in the last recording was wearing a different Orlando Magic shirt that he's wearing right now. He doesn't have a whole new thing going.
Whole new thing.
That's it for me, Bran.
Magic in 8th now in the East. I looked last night.
Yeah, but we're finally healthy again.
Okay.
We were really.
Wait, now what is it? 4th seed for the cap?
No, it was 6th the first time, and he owes me a
I still feel good about it. We're finally healthy. We have the easiest schedule the rest of the season.
6 to the highest. 6 or higher, then it's nothing. If it's under 6, he owes me 2. Anything from lids. So
wow, it's gonna be sick. You're gonna get like one of those Clemson hats. You get your name on.
Dude,
the side.
I'm serious. If they don't finish, I hope they do because I want to see them in the playoffs. Because watching playoff Magic basketball with Brain is one of my all-time purest, unadulterated joys in life. But if they don't, we're going straight to lids. I'm going to grieve with him for the requisite 12 hours, and then we're going to lids. And for
I only
the
get
vlog.
12 hours?
Yeah, that's all you get, buddy. Sorry. I mean, the Magic have sucked for years, so,
I know, it doesn't make it. Listen, as excited as I was to hear Decode by Paramore, to not give us the chorus full volume is a travesty. I'm like, yeah, look, here we go. How do we? And then there's just no. They cut back and it goes to like the headphone volume. Get out of here, rude.
Haley deserves better.
That's exactly right.
I will say to you all now what I said to Bran in this moment. Paramore's just okay. And then,
I mean, after Ain't It Fun, I'm not a huge fan.
And then Bran didn't speak to me for what seemed like
I'm only
forever.
doing this for the show.
Yeah.
And then after this, I'm immediately done.
Ain't It Fun is the last good thing they did. You're right. You're agreed. 100%. 100% agree.
I mean, I like Paramore. There's some. I mean, Bran, don't get hot. I mean,
too freaking late, bro.
Hey, Bran, I need to tell you something. After all this time, I'm still into you.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you. But this is okay. So last year, specifically, I think in like episode 1 or whatever, I talked about how I can't think of anything worse to wear jumping into the pond than jeans. And Alice proceeds to week after week jump in the pond in jeans. And I'm like, I guess this is just her bit. But here's the thing. At the end of this episode, they look at each other and they say, I think it's pond time. I think it's time for us to pond.
Is it pond time?
I think it's pond time. And neither of them change into pond appropriate clothes.
Guys.
If you are going to look at each other and go, it's pond time, right? You can't jump in the pond in jeans knowing you're going to do it.
They could have fixed it. They had a whole season to fix it.
You had a whole season. They look at each other. They say it's pond time.
That's right.
And neither one of them goes, you want to change first?
No, it's pond time.
Like, I can't imagine knowing I'm about to jump in the pond and being like, yes, I'll stay in this, please. Can't imagine it. It's insane. I guess it's just Alice's thing. She loves it. Dan?
We were laughing about this early in the episode. Alice gets picked up for the last day of school, and they pick her up, and they're like, the sooner we start the day, the sooner it gets over, which isn't true with school. It doesn't matter if you showed up at school at 6 a.m, you couldn't knock off at 1 p.m. That's not how that works.
Mr. Thompson, I actually got here at 6 o'clock.
Then by all means. 8
sat
hours is the limit.
outside. I read a book.
Yeah. Get out of here.
So I'm good to go?
You're good to go.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. I will say this.
Your shirt's ugly.
Thank you. I'm trying something new. They catch the song "Steal My Sunshine" on the radio in 2024 from the beginning. So they turn on their FM radio in 2024, and right after they turn the dial on, "Steal My Sunshine" playing from the beginning, which is, the odds are astronomical.
It's honestly
there.
a dream. It's a dream.
I couldn't get over that. That was, that's impressive. No matter how we slice it, that's impressive. Kat hasn't changed much in the 7 months, aside she's clearly over trying to change the past. And she's gotten into running, and she wants to carry around the largest phone possible to run. Does she have a tablet on her arm? Is that a Galaxy Note 8? It's a ginormous phone. I don't know what to tell you. Get anything else. I mean, that's got to be weighing you down there. Yeah, that's all. That's all I got.
It's time for
Sink or Swim.
That's what we're talking about. What we're sinking and what we're swimming. Ryan?
Yeah. As you guys know, I've always been very clear on how this segment works. So since episode 1 of season 1. So what I'm going to say is, whether it was this is both my sink and my swim, whether it was the postcards that were basically taunting Kat the 7 months while he was gone, or Bran mentioned it during the recap, he's writing what seemed like a very nefarious villainy text, and then he's spying on them through his window while they're running off, and he gives just the most diabolical, dastardly look. Like, whether or not by the end of this season or by the end of the series, whenever that may be, hopefully the show goes for a very, very long, long time. If nothing else, they have heard us and they are playing into it. And for that, I appreciate the people that are
there are definitely 2 or 3, I don't want to call them full scenes, but lines or looks that tip the cap to an Elliot villainry. And I thought it was awesome. And I really, really loved it.
We're changing.
We are. Elliot for villain 24.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that I'm most sinking right now, sinking my teeth into. Am I doing it right?
Whoa! Look at you! How did we get here?
Is that whole Colton watching in the woods? I'm very just intrigued. Assuming it's Colton. Listen, it could be a lot of things. Yeah.
I really don't think it's Colton. By the way, sorry.
But think of so at the time that whoever it is watching in the woods is a time where Jacob is still alive. So it could be that after Jacob dies, Colton finds out that this water exists, and he goes back and he's able to see his family again or something. I don't know why they would show us that, but it's possible that that's where that's playing. It could be somehow this is Jacob grown up and he looks like his dad. There's a lot of things that it could be, and it was such a random throw in the middle of the episode, because we had already moved past this night of the start of summer party, and we were getting ready to move on to the next thing, and they cut back to this thing for such a quick moment, and it's just so interesting, and it's the thing that I'm really just this could sink or swim the show. So
can I tell you, that's the aspect of the show of that this week's episode that struck me as the most. This is something we're going to waste time on that will add up to nothing. And I could be wrong, but
really?
my take on that was we've got so much happening between Jacob and Elliot returning and being the bad guy, and then Kat and Alice going to separate time. of all the things, that one seemed to be the one that we were just going to it's just there to try to get kind of like steer you off the path of what's going on with the rest of the narrative. But maybe I'm wrong.
I think you'll be wrong. And I feel like the cat painting reveal is probably more in that category for me. One, because we already have a decent idea of what's going to come of that. And Brand's having night sweats about that being like one calls the heart. But, I feel like I would have loved that. Whoever that person is reveal, that would have been a strong end of the episode for me. So the fact that we got something on top of that, I thought was great. I think you're gonna be wrong.
It could be that neighbor that we get introduced to for the first time ever, who's selling his farm.
That's right.
Like maybe he has something more to do with all of this that we don't know of. So like little things like that the show, at least last season, proved to be pretty trustworthy of doing these little things that like, hey, you need to pay attention to the show. You need to follow along. It's like these little things that move the story along. It's the thing that happened in this episode that I'm most intrigued by. Nothing else really surprised me, so to speak, in this episode aside from that. That's the thing that's really like I'm going to be thinking about heading into next episode.
Yeah, the area where I think the show creators and I are in sync the most, and I'm pretty sure I'm using that correctly. Yes, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Is when Alice goes back in time, it is once again, it's 1999, or that's what we assume.
Yeah, because we see Elliot as 1999.
That's right.
Yeah.
Elliot has...
Well, I guess technically it's 2000 now because Y2K happened.
Of course. Elliot has said, both future and past Elliot, that these are all the memories he has of Alice. So, Elliot is lying. You with me, Rye Guy?
Well, but you know what's interesting? To that point, Dan, Elliot does an interesting thing when he comes back into the treehouse and Sister Hazel's playing. He says, "So you didn't jump in the pond any while I was gone?" Which is an interesting thing to say to that point too.
Yes.
Like something fishy's going on.
We can talk about looks and glances and text all we want. Elliot knows about other instances from 1999, 2000, whatever, that he is not talking about to anyone. And once again, being the one person that knows all of the events from the past and from the present day and when they're going to happen and how they line up, make him the most powerful chess piece on the board. And so, go ahead.
What I was going to say, it also works on both levels, is that I think you're right. And from we want Elliot to be the villain standpoint, because that would be cool TV. That's great. But also it's really smart because it allows for us to spend more time in 1999 where we're familiar. Like, it's a very smart way for the show to be like, because we could only move forward in 2000 and beyond. But now if Elliot has more memories that he's withholding or what have you, we can spend more time in season 2 in that timeline, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. I feel like someone in the chat, I think that's Kira Romans just said, or the past is changing, rules out the window. Cue Dan being pissed. Nothing wrong with what you said there. If the past is changing, then I am no longer in sync with the Way Home team, and I will be the first to tell you that the show has lost all of its integrity. So there you have it.
Well, and to that, like, yes, because what would have needed to have, like, what could have been the thing that causes the past to change?
That's
like, everything has so far happened the way in which at least Elliot remembers it happening.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's interesting. It can't be that the past is changing.
It can't be. I would be so disappointed if the past was changing.
Yeah. Oh, what was?
But Dan, Elliot is the only one who has told us the past can't change. But we've also seen through myriad attempts by Kat and Alice trying to change the past, and it has not changed. No matter what they do, the results are the same. So the show has told us that the past can't change, not Elliot. I didn't take Elliot's word for it. I took the show's word for it when they told us the past couldn't change because they tried to change it over and over again, and it didn't work. That is... I'm not getting that from Elliot. I'm getting that from the show. I believe the show has established rules for the time travel and a pattern, in my personal opinion. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's time for Nearly Nude. It's the part of the show where we talk about whether or not somebody in this episode was nearly nude. We're going to bring in our nearly nude.
Ryan looks terrified.
We're going to bring in our nearly nude correspondent, Brian. Brian, are you here? All right, come on in, buddy.
Brian, just grab the mic if you could. There you go. Right there is fine.
Just bend down. All right, Brian, anybody in this episode nearly nude?
So the way that I interpreted it was we were nearly getting to the idea.
Yeah.
It's more of a concept, philosophical concept, construct even. Sure. No, unfortunately not.
No one
It's a
nearly
no.
nude this week.
It's a no for me.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. Thanks for putting that jacket on and everything.
All right. Well, there you go.
That's a strong replacement for wrestle him to the ground.
It is.
That was a good call.
And, Andy McDowell's the one. Look, they wrote a whole article about it. I mean, you don't want us to talk about it,
You shouldn't have said that.
Why not say that until the week it happens?
Well, and we were already going to be into the show, but now we have this.
Every scene with Andy McDowell is we're going to be
we're trying to figure out
said-
how is she going to end up nearly nude.
That's right, in this scene.
This wouldn't even make sense here.
Byron's not even in this.
Or Roy.
Poor Roy. Yeah.
Well, we did it, everybody. Another episode
Feels
in
good
the
to be
books.
back.
It's great to be back.
The water's warm.
Ryan, anything you want to tell the people?
I hope Dan likes Brink. That's
tomorrow
That's where
on the
my
calendar.
life. That's where everything begins and ends.
That's right. You
now.
guys are just,
That's,
you don't care if I hated the way home.
That's true.
If I like Brink.
That's right.
I'll be honest.
Join us tomorrow for another episode. Also tomorrow night, the Deckies happening live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then Fridays, make sure you're subscribed to Decom Descendants, a double episode drop to kick off the news show. All right, I think we did it all. Until next time, may we be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.